So a lot of people want to be rich, financially free, and it's a hard thing. So most people will not make it. However, some people are willing to do the work, but there is a wealth trap, and those people are falling for it, and they will never actually become rich, although they think they are on their way. That's sad. It's like saying, I thought I was doing everything right, but turns out I was basically just digging a hole I could never get myself out of. So for this video, I want to break down what this wealth trap is, what to look out for, how to avoid it, and how to make sure you don't make these mistakes yourself. Now, if you guys don't know me, my name is TommyBryson. Do me a favor and smash the like button, and let's get right into it. The first thing I want to explain, guys, is what I call the treadmill progress, okay? Treadmill progress. Now, I don't know about you guys, okay, but have you ever seen like a sitcom or like one of those shows when the characters of the show are in a car, in a vehicle, and they're talking and laughing and they're driving, but you can obviously tell they're not actually driving, they're not going anywhere because the car is literally still. It's like a little movement here and there. And basically just the background is switching, and you can obviously tell the background is fake. Now, to people that have seen shows like that, it's pretty obvious. But to someone that has never seen anything like that, they're probably going to say, this is pretty real, right? They're in a car and they're talking. That's kind of dangerous. But we know it's fake. Now, it's the same exact thing with the money game. When you understand the money game, to me, it may seem very obvious when someone is heading down the wrong path and they're committing a lot of mistakes, but to the people that are actually in it, well, guess what? They don't know. And they don't know they're actually heading to a wrong path. Here's an example, okay? You have a couple, let's say, random couple, and they're just getting started in life, okay? Just got married, get an apartment, barely have any furniture, have 2 incomes, things are okay, but things are actually not that great overall. Just getting started. And then all of a sudden they say, we want to make progress. We actually want to see something happen. We want to grow our wealth. So what do? They go ahead and they start buying cars. They buy a house. They buy some clothes. They buy some fancy furniture. They buy some things, you know. Now, to the person that comes into the house and they see all this stuff, they're like, wow, this person must be doing well. They're doing better because they have more stuff now. Same thing as the example, right? Not that obvious. For the observant eye, it's obvious that maybe this couple is obviously now crippled with a lot of debt, at least to me. Whenever I see a house and cars and things and a lot of stuff, my thought is not like this person must be rich. My thought is, how did this person get this? What was the price and how are they paying for it? That's my thought. Now, if someone tells me, Tommy, I have a crazy mortgage on this for 30 years, this vehicle, I'm paying a loan on it for like $700, $1,000 a month. All this stuff you see me have, credit card debt, I got to pay that stuff. And my income, I got to keep working. The answer is, this is not wealth. It's pretty obvious it's not wealth. You think you're making progress, but in reality, you're on a treadmill because you're not really moving anywhere. And that's why I call it treadmill progress. For most people, it'll look like this couple is making progress, but if you know what to look for, you're not actually making progress whatsoever because you're just getting into debt. You look like something, but in reality, when you look below deeply, you can tell this person is just crippled with debt. You want to look out for that. If you think you're making progress by having more things and you're basically enslaving your income to all these responsibilities, the answer is that's not progress. You're not actually moving anywhere. Now, if you got value so far and you like this content and you want to see more, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. It is free and I appreciate it a ton and it does help the channel out. Okay, so click subscribe and click the notification bell also. Now, the second thing you want to look out for is what I call misrepresentation of risk. Big words, but it just means basically you're not really comprehending the level of risk and reward that's involved in what you're doing. Now, I've talked to plenty of criminals, and I can tell you they all have one thing in mind. They never actually think they're going to get caught. That's what they have in common. I've spoken to criminals that have been caught before, but now they think, I've been caught before, I know what not to do, I can keep doing it, I'm not gonna get caught. They get caught. I've spoken to people that never got caught before, and now they basically think they must be invincible because they've never been caught, and then they get caught. Now, I try to explain to people always the principle of risk and reward. When the reward is high and the risk is something that's just too costly, the reward doesn't matter. If, for example, you can have everything, but the risk is your life, it's not worth it. I spoke to someone before, and I tried to explain to him this, okay? I told him, if the reward is you getting rich and accomplishing all these things, and the risk is you, for example, being locked up forever or losing your life, it's just not worth it. Because if you lose your life just for like a second, you're done. Like, it's over. And then everything else is just done. And he said, okay, whatever. He continued, and now he's not here anymore. You see, the game is this. Risk and reward is very important, this principle. But whenever the risk is so high, you cannot give me any reward that's going to justify the risk overall. That's what I'm saying. Now tell me, how does this apply to this trap, this wealth trap? The answer is, here's an example. You have a couple. They're actually trying to become investors. And now all of a sudden, they actually want to start investing. So what do? They start to invest. They start buying stocks they don't really know much about because they just want to get in the game. They start buying, for example, real estate property. They hear about, for example, house hacking, FHA loans. They buy a multifamily property. They live in one unit. They rent the other two or just one. With that, they pay the mortgage. You're like, we're doing great. We are investors. And this is why I call risk and reward. I call it misrepresentation of risk, because these people, if you ask them, what are you doing here? They're going to tell you, hey, easy. I put down a low down payment. I have this property. I have my tenants. They pay my rent. They pay my mortgage. And now I don't have to put that much money towards the mortgage myself. It pays itself. Everything's fine, okay? Everything is perfect, nonchalant, okay? The same concept with the criminal. Everything's going to be fine. Nothing's going to happen. But what is the risk here? The risk they don't talk about is this. Yes, you do have this property, but you also have, for example, a large, massive loan. You are a landlord. There is risk of, for example, things breaking down. There is risk, for example, of vacancies actually happening. There is also risk of you having job loss. You know, I remember I was about to do this myself. I was going to build a house of cards. I was going to start investing into real estate like crazy by buying loans and doing all this other stuff. Not buying loans, getting into mortgages and buying properties this way, okay? And having tenants and they pay, you know, pays off itself. And I remember I couldn't qualify for some reason, you know? I didn't have justifiable income for enough time to be able to actually get it. And that same year, COVID happened. And it was insane, you know, because that same year, people were not paying rents. So I would have bought that. I would have been stuck with a mortgage that I could not potentially make payments for. And if I had lost my income, what would I have done then? When people talk, they talk like everything is going to be fine. They don't say this. Yeah, I just borrowed $500,000. I'm going to be on the hook for the next 30 years. I have to make sure these tenants pay me. I have to keep everything okay. And as long as I can do this for the next 30 years or so and keep my job and make sure my family is okay, then I can actually own this home at the end of the road. You know, they don't mention it like that because it wouldn't be attractive like that. So it's what I'm saying, risk and reward. You have to be very careful with misrepresentation. I can't even say the word, but you have to be very careful when it comes to misrepresentation of risk, okay? It's very important. Now, the last one, guys, number 3, and the last thing you want to look out for is what I call the skeptic effect. We live in a society where we're given so many options and we're told so many things that we tend to not believe some things, okay? We don't really believe anything. We kind of just like question everything. And it's good to question because you don't just want to say, I believe because of this, you know? For me, for example, I'm a Christian because I asked a lot of questions, you know? And the Bible answers those questions. So you have to answer to then have your faith in a way. And it's like deeper than that, but that's what I'm saying here for this example. But the overall idea is this: being a skeptic is helpful, but it becomes an impediment, a problem, whenever you start to skepticize things just because of their simplicity. Building wealth in itself and getting rich, it's not complicated. The hard part is not understanding how to get rich. The hard part is the application and the consistency it takes to actually get rich. For example, for me, what's my playthrough? How do I approach building wealth and getting wealthy? Okay, the answer is I paid off my debt. I have a fully funded emergency account. I invest into things I fully comprehend and understand between 10 to 20% of my income. And I'm planning to buy a home on a 15-year mortgage that is no more than a third of a monthly income net that I can pay off in like 15 years or less, you know? Try to pay off faster by paying extra money towards it. Once the home is paid off, I have my investments and I have extra cash, low cost of like expenses overall. That's it. It's not that complicated. It sounds simple, but this is also a 10 to 20 year plan. That's the hard part of it. But you hear that and you're like, that can't possibly work, right? It's what I say. It's what Dave Ramsey says. It's what, for example, people like Warren Buffett might actually recommend also potentially. But people say it's too simple. It can't be that. So what do they do instead? They start to do things they don't understand at all. Like they want to start businesses. They want to invest into things they don't know anything about. They want to do a bunch of different things, slice themselves into different pieces overall, and they lack focus. They lack focus. And they want to take on big risk, big reward, not understanding what's the truth here. The truth is the average millionaire is in their 50s. It takes time to actually get there. That's the truth, guys. So the biggest wealth trap is going to be people that think that they're actually making progress, but they're actually going backwards. People that think that, hey, this is great because I have all of these things now, but what you really have is a loan against your income. Hey, this is great because I have all these investments, but what you really have is a whole bunch of added risk that if this doesn't work out, you're going to lose everything you have. Hey, there's also another one, which is basically you question everything, and anything that's too simple, then it must not be true. Simplicity is key. The truth is never really complicated for the most part with most things, okay? But guys, that is it for this video. And I want you to really look out for this because it's out there and you might think you're heading one way, but you're actually not heading the way you think you're heading. As always, guys, do me a favor and smash the like button. I appreciate it a ton. And if you want to watch more, here's another video. Subscribe here and peace.